and welcome to Pulp Mythos. I'm Brian here with Spencer, and we're going to be talking about Big Sky Season 2, Episode 15. I thought this was the end, man. I thought we were done. I thought the season finale was this episode. According to IMDb, it seemed to be the case. This is going up a little later than normal. I thought this was going to be sort of our season wrap up. Wrong. The episode ends, and I'm like, well, this is okay. Is that how it ends? That's weird. And then you had notified me. I had already seen it, but yeah, they've added episodes. A couple days ago, there was just one episode added, and then now I see three. So starting in May, we'll get more episodes. Not sure exactly how many it'll be in the end, but the season's not over. It's still trucking along. I thought the episode was decent for what it was. I have a few huge complaints as normal, and we will get into that. But your overall thoughts on just how they're marketing the show is weird. Like, you're not explaining to the audience when is it coming back, how many episodes there's going to be. Like, I think there needs to be a little bit more of that.
Well, and I not only do I agree, the way that they're doing it, from an article I read, they were like last year in May is when they said that they were going to renew for the next season. And I was real confused because it's wrapping up around that same time, but they said this season's ratings are better. And I'm like, there's no fucking way. I was like, how? I last season, at least the first part of last season, I mean, I agree that the second half of last season was dog shit, but the first half of last season was really good. So them kind of holding on to those ratings, I get, but there is absolutely no way that the ratings are higher this season so far than last season.
I need to
I don't know
check
that I can believe it.
because I neither of us watch this on television. We watch through like Hulu,
Yeah.
and so I do not know. I don't really watch a lot of network TV. I don't know what the lead-in is. What is the show that comes on before Big Sky? Because a lot of times that will dictate and help bolster ratings.
Oh yeah.
So
It's
maybe
like
it's something huge. I honestly don't know.
some shit. I don't know.
I have no clue. It could be sports. Is there sports on ABC?
Yes, but this is a Thursday night, so there's not a lot of Thursday night sports on ABC.
There's not tennis on ABC at 7,
ABC 10.
8 o'clock. Not darts.
I
But
think
yeah,
I think it's billiards, 9-ball.
billiards. There you go. But yeah, I guess so. Yeah, there'll be a little break for a couple weeks, and then we'll be back in May with more episodes. So let's talk about this one. So they left us with a little bit of a cliffhanger, somewhat going into, not a big one, but going into this little break. And I swear to you, if Travis kills Dono, I'm going to flip, because basically they were given, we were like, well, how is she going to get out of the, she was in their little lab last week, and the way she gets out is she kills Jinder Mahal with drugs.
That was so. As much as I've bitched about this show, it was
clever.
Well, and to me, it also shows the strength of like fentanyl itself. Not that anybody was questioning it, but it's
well, even for her to realize she needed to put a mask on.
Yes.
But killing it was funny because he's popped back up in WWE, and so a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, I guess he's finished shooting. I didn't realize they killed him off. But yeah, he's dead. She escapes, and she brings the police to the house, which was stupid because she had to know they were going to clean everything up after they find one of their guys dead. But besides screw all that. So in the end, they're like, all right, Travis, Dono, go kill Jenny. And they're like, all right. And so they're sort of, following her. Now, obviously, they're not going to do it. But how are they going to get around it? My only concern is they're going to kill off Dono. I will be very pissed.
Well, to me, it would make more sense to kill off Travis. Only from a storyline perspective, because if there is going to be a season 3, Jenny, other than she doesn't really have any tie-ins to this. She just doesn't like them. I mean, you can pitch it to where it's the family, the whatever you want. But to me, she doesn't really have a tie-in to this storyline. Like she doesn't feel invested. However, if Travis, who she's supposedly cut ties with 19 times now, he would if he were to die, she would have a new vested interest in this. And then, the bowlers who were pretty much the villains this season become the main villainous focus next season, or even the Kapoors, because they've mentioned them several times in this episode that perhaps they're the real villains or whatever. But with Travis dying, it would make more sense for her to be invested in this. Whereas if Dono dies, then you just have the love interest drama, which to me doesn't hold the show together as well as the vengeful drama would.
Yeah, because to me, you've built too much with him and Ren and Tanya, and it's like, yeah, don't throw
Well,
that away.
like you said, the Tanya stuff, all of her stuff this episode was great.
The this was a weird part. I didn't want to go too much into it, but we get a scene where Veer is like trying to figure things out, and Alicia tells him, she's like, "Oh, I had a dream, and Jag's gonna kill you." And I just started
Uh,
laughing. I laughed out loud. I was like, oh, what? And so it's like building this distrust, and I don't know. What were your thoughts on
it,
that?
it pissed me off. Like, to me, for the daddy bowler, whose name I can never remember,
I think
for
it's Veer.
yes, that is it. For him to buy into it, I was like, you got to be fucking kidding me. It immediately, I was like, well, this is stupid as shit. And not that any of that kind of stuff I don't believe in it, but to put faith in it is different than for him to be interested in what she has to say. And then suddenly, what is he going to kill his kid because it's either him or like,
Well, I mean, if you, there's ways to do that and not do it. Another show that we reviewed, Snowfall, great show if you're not watching it, and the character Scully is a
that,
character that
not,
has deep religious beliefs. He goes and sees psychics, and he's into all that stuff, but it's built within the show. Therefore, if he did something like this, or somebody had to talk to him, hey, I had a dream, it plays better into the
it would
show
make
because
sense.
yeah, we know that character, we know how they think, how they operate. This just, I don't know, it was funny to me.
Well, it, like you just said, it felt like out of nowhere, suddenly he buys into psychics. Like, since when?
So she had a dream. Now, to play off of that scene, which I'm assuming was the intent of it, we get a moment where Ren and Jag are interrogating one of their workers and basically learn, according to him, who cut the drugs was Veer. He's saying, "No, your dad is the one messing up the supply." Why would he do that? I don't even really have a theory on that.
I
Why
do.
is he sabotaging them?
I don't think that he's sabotaging him. I think that he's cutting it for money, uh, to save money, make it stretch it out further because fentanyl is cheap. Fentanyl is super cheap. Heroin, not so much, but fentanyl, it's medical grade, but it's made in a lab, which is the reason, for ODs and everything else is because there is no regula- regulatory thing on the street saying, hey, that's too much. So him cutting it like that is just increasing his product and strength of the product. But the problem with it is you never know how much is in each little dose. So, and anybody who's watched anything or even heard anything, a grain of rice amount of fentanyl can kill, three people. So, and it's very hard to regulate how much of it you're using in each pill. So the OD rates are going to go through the roof. However, he feels like he's going to make more money this way. So I think because with the Kapoors, he mentioned that, they're not running shit, but they put a real hurting on his business. So I'm assuming that's monetarily they put a huge hurting on his business. So for him to do this, my only assumption is money. It's the only
Yeah, yeah,
way.
that makes sense. Yeah, that seems logical. I mean, it. Yeah, what else could it be? I mean, you're right. I don't. Um. Yeah. The there's like three other big things. I guess we'll Mason. So the young guy Mason died. He's one of the people that OD'd. His father goes on a little pilgrimage. He's trying to figure out what happened. I was fine with all that, but it leaves you with a genuine sort of interesting, a better cliffhanger than even the Jenny stuff. Is it appears that he has figured out the source. You know, they sort of hint that he knows, and he has a firearm. And what's he going to do? He's sort of a wild card. Is he going to go in guns a blazing on Ren or any of them, or you know what I mean? Like it is sort of an X factor, and it is interesting. Um, it was a storyline that I didn't give a shit about last week, and now I'm like, okay, this might go somewhere.
Well, to me, you look at we were talking about Dono and Travis. If Travis Stone, T Lock, whatever the fuck his name is, they to me we're talking about how we could kill him off and still have a viable story. If he's supposed to be taking over Drew's character, he's the protector. So what happens when he finds the bowlers? He's going to be expected to protect the bowlers. What happens if Mason's dad takes him out? To me, that would be the ultimate way to take him out, because then there would be no revenge. There would be nothing. It would just basically be a jaded, mournful father trying to take out the people who brought the drugs into the community.
The dumbest thing in this episode, in my opinion, was the truck bust sequence because so one of their guys gets busted, okay, with an insane amount of drugs. I don't know the rules and the laws on how you can pull over a truck and check it. Now I don't know all that, so let's pretend that was done legally. I don't know. What was bizarre to me was the deal they cut. And the reason it was bizarre to me, okay, I know deals get cut sometimes. We watch other shows like The Wire and stuff, but I can't imagine a scenario where you would catch someone with that much drugs and be like, "We're just going to let you be an informant." I don't know. No way in hell that there's no way I'll accept that. Secondly, what's keeping him from running? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's keeping this guy from just going away? Um, it was just weird. It felt rushed, like they were just like, all right, we need, just to serve the story, we're going to do this. But I don't know. It just felt a little sloppy because the way it all played out was just like, I just don't think they would do that.
Well, in my head, I'm thinking if he had that much drugs and he's the driver, there's no way that he's the one transporting the drugs. So, for me, him being the one transporting it, I'd I'd be okay with them cutting a deal. But they didn't cut a deal. They didn't do shit. They just were just like, oh well, this is what we're gonna do. But there was no paperwork, there was no mention, there was no nothing. Like we're just supposed to believe that this all happened like behind closed doors or something. Like I don't know.
Well, that's true because it was like, why not say, okay, well, tell us who it is and we'll negotiate with the DA as far as your sentence, but you're going to prison. Like they could have done that. They didn't even do that.
Well, yeah, or anything, or even mention like you just said, mention, hey, you have two choices. You either flip
And keep
or we're doing this. And then be like, okay, so this is how there has to be a plan or something in place that I get that they don't want to micromanage the entire show and give us every little bit, every small detail. But for this to be it's kind of set up like a cop drama. To set it up like a cop drama and then not explain shit, it just doesn't feel right.
well, because you got to think, well, what do they need an informant for? Because he knows where the drugs get picked up and
Yeah,
dropped
just
off.
tell them.
He knows who's making them. What is it that he doesn't know that you need him in there digging? That
Yeah,
makes no sense.
exactly. does he already knows like the transportation schedule? He knows the pickup drop off areas. Like you just said, what else do they need from him?
You don't need an informant. You need a narc. You need someone that'll give names. He has the names. It's not like I was like, what? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I
But
agree.
um, so the last real big thing to talk about, I saved it for last because they sort of resolved it, and I'm sort of happy they did. At least as far as I can tell, they resolved it. So Cassie comes back this week, and so we were sort of easing her back into the crew. Now I'm not gonna make fun of the fact that Mark is, what is he, a marshal?
Yes.
And yet he's just chilling with them and just seems to have no care in the world and no schedule. And I'm like, I that's weird to me, but whatever. But we bring Cassie back in. They're easing her back into the show, into the story. And the first major thing they do have to address is sort of this love triangle that's developed. And they I think they wrapped it up because we basically have a moment where he's with Jared, and she's like, "Yeah, well, what are we doing? You want to come in? No, okay, well, figure your shit out." And then, which is justifiable statement. And then he goes off and he's like, "Oh, I don't know what to do." And then finally, in the end, he goes to Cassie. Hey, I want to, I like you. Can I come in your house? And it's like, okay, I think they wrapped it up. At least that's what I got out of it.
Yeah, that's it. That's what it felt like anyway.
But it is funny that I'm like, hey, dude, you're just chilling, and like, don't you have a job? Shouldn't you
Yeah.
be solving crimes or something?
Yeah. Well, he's on medical leave, remember, because he got shot. But I'm like, he's moving around just fine. How is he still on?
He's like, no, I'm gonna sit here, read this book, and then I'm gonna go for drinks and solve mysteries and
Fucking Fred just needs an ascot.
um but Cassie's back, she's in the fold, she's sort of there. I don't really have a lot to say.
I
I'm
don't.
hoping they put her more in front because she's not even tied into the biggest storyline, being the Ren storyline really.
Well, and that was my beef with them even including her in this episode because the only thing that they're wrapping up is the love triangle that they created. Like this is something that they created themselves and that they felt like they needed, I guess, closure on because it to me there was no reason to even include it first of all, except for the fact that they made an issue last season where he was confused and didn't know which way to turn. So I guess by including that, you're like trying to wrap it up. But of all storylines to wrap up, they wrap up the one I give the least shits about. Like,
Well, that was sort of, I was glad. I agree. I was just like, guys, I don't want this to be a thing. Get this done. And they did. They were like, all right, this is what's happening. And so, because even the way he left when Jerry got out of the car, it didn't seem like there was any animosity. It was just more like, hey, what do you want? And so it's like, okay, he wants Cassie, then they'll all be friends, and okay, fine. Um,
well, yeah, because Jerry even said, I don't care, just let me know. And then it's just like,
yeah,
all right, well, I'll see you at work tomorrow.
yeah, exactly. So I was like, okay, that seems that's done. I do love the fact, a little, we'll wrap up here in a sec, but I did like how they've actually gone out of their way to explain why Cassie's son is never around.
Yeah,
She's
he's
like,
lived at,
oh, it was my, what she said, sister or some shit.
yeah.
She's like, oh, he's staying with somebody. It's like, oh, okay. Like no one in this show ever deal with their kids. Remember the two siblings, like their parents were like all off on trips. They're
Yeah.
lawyers, and Jenny's son, where is he, in college or
Yeah.
moved? I
They
don't know
showed
where
that
he's
at the
at.
beginning of this season. They showed her
Oh,
in his room and she's like holding, I don't even remember. It was like Penn State or something, so that it was super far away. So there's no reason for her to call him or talk to him or anything.
and then
See how he's doing.
all the kids are just always off, doing their own thing, and we yeah, it's funny. The best parent in all this was T-Lock. He was the only one keeping tabs.
He was the only one present.
He was the only one present in any kid's life. Uh,
But and that's like, to me, it's tropey. I get it, but I think that when they write it into the show like that, it irritates me personally as a parent. Like,
just don't give her a kid. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, that was my thing. Yeah.
because to me, the kid was always around the grandpa. Like, that kid grew up with his grandfather living down the street and hanging out with him all the time. So why would she not, like, her dealing with the grief of her father getting murdered? I get it. But what about her kid? Like, my kids are super close to my parents. So if anything happened to my parents, my kids are I'm gonna fall apart, but my kids are gonna equally is bad fall apart. So why the fuck would I not, try to be there for them?
You're
She
not going to send them
like,
away.
yeah, I'm gonna send them to their aunt's house and just be like, yeah, well, you deal with them because I'm sad. Like, it's, God damn it.
Yeah, that was the oddity. Yeah, I was like, why? Okay, sure, sure, but I guess Mark got the memo. He's like, yeah, shit, nobody's there, dude. Go over. Um,
Now's your chance.
all right, final part. The name of the episode. A lot of times, Big Sky has there's the name of the episode. I never even bring it up because they're trying to be clever, but it's not. But this one was, and I'm going to give them credit. The name of the episode was the Muffin or the Hammer. And at first I was like, that's stupid. And then I was waiting for what that meant. And then when we got to the scene with Tanya and Dono, it was like the poison muffin or the hammer. I laughed and I was like, all right,
Oh yeah,
I like that.
that was great.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. I thought it was a great that it was the title of the episode. And I was like, okay, good job on this one.
Well, once again, we're talking about the chemistry between characters, and I've brought that up so many damn times. When you have Dono and I wanted to call her Ashley. I don't know why.
Tanya.
Yeah, but uh, their chemistry together, even in a small scene like that, which is super silly, it was great. It was super entertaining. Like, I wanted to see what happened, and then, like you said, going back to the title, it it made me laugh. There's certain people's chemistry in this show that is so good that it makes me want to keep watching the show. But then I go back to um, Cassie and Jenny hugging. It felt weird. Like, it felt tense. Like, it felt like uh, for old friends that it shouldn't have felt like that.
Yeah. Well, that's all I got. Like I said, there's a break, several weeks, and it'll be back in May. And there's at least 3 episodes that we know of. There could be more, not sure yet. So, a lot more Big Sky coming your way. Any other thoughts?
No. I hope they wrap it up or not. Like,
Yeah. A lot of other stuff on the channel. Check out our Snowfall reviews. I still not watched season 1. I don't know if I'll get to it before season 2, but we are going to do Flight Attendant. Oh, maybe I'll watch a recap or something. I don't know. We'll see.
you'll
Spencer's
have
watched it.
for it to make some kind of sense.
Yeah.
It'll be awesome.
Flight. It's this week. Larry might be on it with us. I'm not 100% sure on that, but we're gonna do Flight Attendant.
I fucking love it.
And then we 100%, all 3 of us, will be putting up Barry reviews the
So
following week. Yes,
I've been
super
waiting
excited.
for like 2 years almost now.
It's a top 5 show for me currently running. Absolutely, it's up there with Snowfall, and I'm so excited. So yeah, look out for all that. Appreciate everyone listening.
Bye.
Bye.